Before I get started, I need you guys to know how much I want you to like me. It's so important to me that you don't see me as being bossy or a bitch or any of these other words that we throw at women that we don't like, that it's affecting the way my voice sounds when I'm talking, it's going to affect my hand gestures I'm going to make. Even what I chose to wear today, which is something a bit more special than what I'd normally wear on a Thursday morning, because it's not every day I'm at the Opera House. But even that was chosen in a very conscious attempt to make you more receptive to what I have to say. Because I really want you to like me, and like many women, I'll probably dull myself down a little to try to ensure that you do. It's not just me, and it's not just right now though. Almost every woman I know will do really little things that she's probably not even aware that she's doing every single day. She might raise her voice when she orders at a restaurant and phrase her order as if you're doing her a really big favor, or she'll apologize before she asks a question or shares an opinion so that you're a little bit slower to shut down what she's trying to say. I can see people nodding. And it's really not surprising that I and the women I know tend to behave this way, considering how we've all been molded to view women in real life and in pop culture who are confident in saying what they have to say without this layer of passivity. Take, for example, Meryl Streep's character in The Devil Wears Prada. Miranda Priestley is a really determined and powerful magazine editor. She's serious, stern, sets really high expectations for the people around her, and she's equal parts respected, feared, and despised for it. But as Anne Hathaway's character Andy says, as a kind of throwaway line in the film, if Miranda were a man, no one would notice anything except how great she is at her job. As is the case with a lot of the ingrained expectations in a patriarchal society like the one that we live in, the rules are very different for men than they are for women, especially when it comes to this connection between sweetness and success. Because before a woman can be admired or respected, she first has to be liked. As the American writer Roxane Gay said in an essay called "I'm Not Here to Make Friends," like from reality TV, I'm not here to make friends. Even from a young age, I understood that when a girl is unlikable, a girl is a problem. And when I think about Miranda and these other problem women in cinema, my mind goes to, and these references are going to kind of show the era of movies that I'm interested in. They're all from a very specific time in the late 90s, early 2000s. Heather Mooney, the bitter, chain-smoking ex-classmate from Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. Gail Weathers from the Scream trilogy, who's a news reporter. She'll do whatever it takes to get her story, stand on anyone who gets in her way. Kat Stratford, the contemporary version of Shakespeare's Shrew from 10 Things I Hate About You. And pretty much every character that Sandra Bullock has played in the last 10 or 15 years. And the more I think about all of these women and what they have in common, the more I realize that when a woman is coded as unlikable, it really just means that she's not actively trying to be nice. She's got better things to do than worry about how you see her, and so instead of being passive, she's being honest, direct, and assertive. And if she's not tempering that by raising her voice an octave or phrasing everything like you're doing her a really big favor, then we label her as a nasty bitch or an ice queen. But these same characters who have been branded as unlikable could, if you just looked at it differently, also be described as ambitious, motivated, flawed, complex, and human. Unlike so many women on our screens who are only there because of their connections to male protagonists, they're the wives, mothers, daughters, sisters, girlfriends, I think it's also important to note that all of these characters are really independent and single-minded in their pursuits of their own desires and goals, without first catering to those of a man. They speak when they have something to say, not just when spoken to, and they don't tamp down their feelings or emotions for someone else's benefit. But when a woman does this, she's viewed as being selfish, bossy, abrasive, and therefore we receive the signals that we can't trust or respect her. And that's really the reason that likability is so important for so many women. It's because we're told that it's the very base level for success. You can't succeed unless you're liked. And if you don't think somebody is nice, if she doesn't go out of her way to put you at ease or couch her assertiveness in a layer of passivity, we're told not to respect her. I'm the editor of a magazine about women in cinema, and so I think about these things a lot, about the representations of women in film and how those representations affect our real-life opinions and perceptions of real-life women. But also in that job, I'm kind of like Miranda Priestley, and I have to, not as high up as her, but of course, but I have to step into boss mode all the time and be really direct and assertive with the people that I work with. And it's really hard sometimes to make direct requests of people when in the back of my mind I have this like fear niggling away in the back of my mind that just doing that, by saying what I want, is going to make people think that I'm a demanding bitch. And when studying films, like I do as my job, it can often feel like there are only two types of women that we're going to see on the screen. There are only two options for the women we see. They're either the passive side characters, they're kind of bland and inoffensive, and they might do a little bit to move the story along. Or there are these independent, outspoken, single-minded women who are labelled as the villains of the piece. And there is a middle ground, but not everything there is rosy either. Everything's terrible. In a story she wrote for The New Yorker on the types of women that she was seeing in rom-coms, the TV showrunner, comedian, actress, and writer Mindy Kaling described one particularly recognisable trope from rom-coms, and that is the klutz. Now, I don't know about you, but I hear the word klutz, and my mind goes straight to Jennifer Lopez's character getting her high heel caught in the wedding planner. It's not caught in the wedding planner, caught in a sewer grate in the wedding planner. And Brittany Murphy in Clueless, who's always hitting her head on things, getting hit in the head with things. She falls down the stairs on her way into this party. The 100% perfect-looking female is perfect in every way, except that she constantly bonks her head on things, Kaling wrote. Despite being 5'9" and weighing 110 pounds, she's basically like a drunk buffalo who's never been a part of human society. Now, the klutz character is not like the ones that I talked about earlier because they're designed to be uber likable. You're really meant to root for them, but they're never designed in a way that feels particularly progressive or healthy for real women, and that's because this trope feeds into a collective desire we have to see often very beautiful, strong, capable, successful women humiliated and taken down a few pegs so that we can feel superior to them. And here are some more examples of that awful thing happening. In The Princess Diaries, before she assumes her royal throne, Mia slips over in every other scene, gets her looks insulted repeatedly, and in one scene is like photographed while she's getting changed and totally humiliated. Bridget Jones, on the first day of landing a great new job, slides down a fireman's pole and has her butt broadcast live on TV. And in Never Been Kissed, Josie Geller has her dream job. She's a copy editor at a newspaper. She's really successful in her career life, but we still take so much joy in seeing her spilling that chocolate milk on those white pants or getting accidentally stoned and dancing on stage at a party and totally humiliating herself. And in portrayals like this, the movies tell us time and time again that success and confidence are not cute and do not make you come out on top. On screen, we're told you need to strip away a woman's confidence, replace any genuine flaws she might have with humiliating defeat so that the audience will root for her and be on her side. And these kinds of rules, tropes, and expectations might seem like they're restricted to the screen, but I think there's a very real trickle-down effect that manifests itself every time a girl's too nervous to put her hand up and say what she wants, or a woman doesn't apply for a job because she doesn't think that she's good enough. After all, those things require confidence. Confidence can be very easily misconstrued as cockiness, and cockiness makes you unlikable. But I'm calling bullshit on this because our options can't just be to either float under the radar, trip over our heels, and hope that people tolerate us, or stand up for what we want, be really direct, and accept the fact that we're going to be hated for it. We need to forget about whether or not we'll be liked, and instead focus on displaying confidence and kindness, assertiveness, and empathy in equal measure. And I really think it takes abandoning the idea that quote-unquote bossy behaviour automatically equals unlikability for women to be comfortable in displaying that kind of behaviour. And I know it's not as straightforward as just saying this to you guys and expecting you to go out and change centuries of ingrained social conditioning that's expected women to be meek and placid and punish them if they're anything but. But we all have a role to play, and I think it requires her having classmates, teachers, colleagues, and bosses who listen to her and encourage her and advocate on her behalf without shutting her down. Because we shouldn't have to trip over our heels or spill chocolate milk all over ourselves or constantly bonk our heads on things just to be able to say what we want and have people listen to what we have to say and not hate us for it. While nobody should aspire to be unlikable, there is a lot that we can learn from these characters who aren't concerned with how others see them. Whether they're unlikable because they're good at their jobs or because they're honest about their emotions, they're all displaying something that we might be too afraid to admit that we want or that we want to be. From women like Miranda, Heather, Kat, and all those Sandra Bullock characters, We can learn a lot about honesty, assertiveness, confidence, and vulnerability. And like us, these characters are flawed because they're human beings, and that's okay, because when you expect women to be flawless and perfect, you're setting them up to fail. And when you expect them to prioritize likability over ambition, you're telling them that your needs and your comfort are more important than their success and their humanity. Thank you.